Welcome to the 49 Yard Dash Podcast, the podcast on your San Francisco 49ers, who beat the Dallas Cowboys in the first round of the playoffs. But of course, hosted by myself and my good friend Josh. Well, you can find it at gbmwolverine.com, or you can also find now, very soon, at 49yarddash.com. Very simple. I did buy the domain. So 49yarddash.com. That's it. Before it was like / my Wix site / my site. Weird. So,
Nothing spells professionalism like having .wordpress.com or .mywixsite.com.
That's right. But it's simplified. We're all good. And we'll have the link in the description below, of course. But before we get into this, Josh, how you doing, my man?
Just taking one step away from the ledge with each 49er win.
Yes.
Was really close there for a while, especially after that Titans game, but just kind of cautiously optimistic about what's going to happen going forward.
I think that's the safe bet. I actually put out I wrote one of the articles that I wrote was about my playoff predictions for the 49ers. And I feel that some people might view it as pretty pessimistic because the ultimate thing was I don't think the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl, but I hope I'm wrong. So hopefully I didn't tick off fans, but that was my honest assessment. So we'll get into that. But hey, something we can all agree on is that the 49ers beating the Cowboys in the playoffs is awesome.
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? I immediately wanted to watch Skip Bayless's reaction just because I like seeing him suffer, you know.
Oh, yeah. That would have been comedic gold. That's one man who has taken, whereas I took 3 steps back from the ledge, he took 3 steps closer.
Yeah, he definitely did. He's pretty bummed out, to say the least. And
or Ernestine and Skip Bayless.
Let me say, I was disappointed and then also not surprised. I wasn't surprised that Mike McCarthy blamed the refs, and I thought that is just such utter blasphemy that pretending that you can spot the ball when it's late in the game a yard ahead of where it's supposed to go, and that
ridiculous
because you're America's team or whatever, the rules don't apply to you and you got screwed.
Not anymore.
It was a dumb play call that he's upset didn't work out, and that's the reality of it. But I was surprised Dak Prescott, and he apologized, I think, today for it, but even he made comments with the refs. I'm like, man, you're normally like stand up 10 out of 10 media guy.
Dak's a douchebag, and so is his coach. Dak has just tried to – he's so full of crap, and he always has been. From the way he handled the Romo situation, I thought Tony handled that professionally. Dak just seemingly sleight of hand, backhanded comments and things. But he's so quiet and soft-spoken, you don't think about the things he says. But no, he mentioned he obviously blamed the refs. And what he apologized for, his fans were throwing stuff at the refs as they were getting into the tunnel. And he
said credit to them.
Basically, in so many words, good for them, credit to them, which is ridiculous. So just to kind of break down that one play, because it's what everybody talks about. I know we're jumping ahead, but I would like to just mention I didn't think it was a bad play call. The issue with it was in that situation, if you practice it so many times, either in practice, Dak wasn't pretending to give the ball to the ref, to the line judge, the umpire, rather, to spot the ball. Either they never practiced that, which is unlike McCarthy and Kellen Moore, the OC, or he ran too far.
Yeah,
that's the issue with the play. It's a great play call if you have
a slides 5 yards earlier.
2, you have 30 seconds left, or 3, you slide 5 yards earlier.
Yeah.
The issue with it is most teams, and I think it was even, was it Aikman? Did Aikman call that game? Was it Aikman and Buck, or who called that game? It was on CBS.
It was Romo.
It was Romo.
Yeah.
It was Romo. I'm an idiot.
No.
Yeah, but it was Romo mentioning it, actually. How most defenses want the corners to sit on the sideline to force everything into the field when you're in an end-of-game situation like that. And how the 49ers corners were playing so far in, it's almost like they were begging them to go to the sideline. Romo even commented, he's like, oh, there's 3 plays, 40 yards, and it only took them 10 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. So that play call, obviously, the reason they drew it up in practice, no doubt, is because they were anticipating the 49ers to have that defensive formation to make them want to go to the sidelines. So naturally, the middle of the field was open, which it still was in that play. And when you're in an end-of-game situation like that, especially with no timeouts, you don't have time to adapt. You have a specific 2-minute or, end-of-game drive, and you're going to follow that script no matter what situation it's in. So either one, Dak jumped the gun and ran too far, and it's on him. Or 2, in practice, he never practiced the handing the ball to someone to spot it, which is just complete coaching malpractice.
That's an error on both. I mean, that's something that high school quarterbacks should know to do.
Middle school.
I mean, good
middle
Lord.
school people are trained to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was funny. Someone caught it. I just saw it floating around. I think it was on Bleacher Report. Someone had reshared from Twitter. Dak slid down at the 25.5-yard line, and he spotted it inside the 23. So that's why you have a ref spotting it. And I don't think Dak was trying to cheat. It's not like
but that's why you have
your partner's not looking and you kick the ball farther. But exactly, that's the point of the ref.
Yeah.
What if that was a tie game and they clocked it and they kicked a game-winning field goal because of those extra couple yards? That's why the ref spots it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a horrible play call. It was coaching malpractice to either one, not tell Dak what yard line he needed to slide down in, or have a mental clock of how much he could run. And then 2, hand the ball back to the ref, and they might have won the game.
Yeah. Yeah. They would have
there was
shot
time.
At least.
There was time when the ref got there. There was time. And then also how stupid of Dak to just rail on him a little further. I hate that guy with all my heart. I didn't even hate Tony Romo, but I just hate Dak Prescott. How stupid to not be self-aware enough as you're waiting for the ref to come spot the ball. It's an hour broken down to 5 seconds. Your time is slowing down for him. He's processing all these things. We've never played even, is nothing more than amateurs, but in an end of game situation, when there's a clock running, things kind of slow down for you. Dak should have realized, crap, I just slid. We have no timeouts. Let me check the clock. He could have ran a play. There was enough time to get the ball off. He snapped the ball. He spiked it in that end of the game. So just horrible awareness by Dak, which has been and always will be his downfall, and coaching malpractice to allow that to happen in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. And 2, another thing that I complained about didn't make any sense is they complained about the ref running through Dak and the offensive line. Well, he had no choice. Imagine that the ref would have ran around the offensive line instead of running through.
So the issue with him doing that is, the issue with even them having a problem with that, when you watch teams in 2-minute drill, when they're running no huddle, when they're running up-tempo no huddle, really trying to get on top of the ball. We saw the 49ers do that against the Rams a couple weeks ago to send us to the playoffs, end of game situation. What did Alex Mack do? He knew to, 1, not put the ball down. 2, he held the ball, turned sideways, let the ref pass, and handed the ball to him, because that's what your center does. So not even just Dak's fault for demanding the ball, and also all 5 of the offensive linemen just being politically correct, being stupid for not being like, hey, why are we trying to do this? They folded in the biggest moment. That's when your instinct should take over of crap, get the ref the ball, clock it.
Yeah.
The whole offensive line lines up. Dak's demanding the ball. Stupid.
It was. I think my favorite storyline for this game was Micah Parsons beforehand saying, I can't remember where he's from now, but he said, where I'm from, the place get bullied. But the city that he grew up in,
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's look it up.
well, it doesn't matter honestly, but
Well, it matters to me
oh well.
because I'm an
Yeah.
idiot. I
But
want to
essentially, he
derail
said
your
that
story.
no. Essentially, what he said though is where I come from, the bullies get bullied because there was so much talk about the 49ers being a physical team and how they bully their opponents. And I think they really took that to heart. We're trying to be bullies because they actually got away with a lot of things that probably should have been unnecessary roughness too. Like,
Yeah.
was it he hit the back of Randy Gregory punched Debo Samuel on the back of the
Oh, just
helmet,
stupid.
and then but it wasn't called. And then Micah Parsons pushed the back of, I think it was Brandon Ayuk. I remember it was 11 on 11 jersey number. So, and that wasn't called. And there was one
11 on
part
11 crime.
that's right. That's right. I can't remember the third one, but there were a few times where I feel like they were trying to prove themselves as like, hey, we're bullies too. But the 49ers aren't bullies after the whistle. They're a physical team. And it showed because even Parsons, who is, I mean, he's an excellent young defensive player. He couldn't handle the physicality of George Kittle and Debo Samuel, let alone Trent Williams.
He's from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Known for their
which hairiness for their hairy burgers.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to Harrisburg, PA, or you know where
I don't.
It's Pennsylvania. It's not some, urban battleground or bustling metropolis. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. What in God's name are we talking about? Where I come from, the bullies get bullied. Freaking Pennsylvania, the whole state smells like cow manure and Amish people who haven't bathed in 10 years. Talking about the bullies get bullied.
Oh, that was
I guarantee you that the line "bullies get bullied," he's the only person in that entire town who is a minority. I guarantee you. There's no diversity there. It's 50 Shades of White. So I don't know, either he's just some villain in high school and just murdered everybody he grew up with, or he's full of crap.
I lean towards the second.
I lean towards the second one as well. I lean towards the second one as well.
I was just happy to see, especially on the opening drive, where they just marched down the field playing their style of ball. They imposed their will and really did say, hey, we're the bullies and you're not going to bully us.
Yeah. No, 100%. I thought it was hilarious. And the 49ers did it as well. What's old dude from the Texans? I can never pronounce his name. I'm not going to try to. I know his name, who now is on the 49ers.
Charles Omenihu?
Thank you. I knew his name, but I wanted you to pronounce it so I didn't look like an idiot. Because I didn't. Yes. So that was awesome. But no, even Charles Charlie Charlie's, he was lined up in the neutral zone a ton. And as was Randy Gregory the whole game. Like I was texting.
Randy Gregory was another level though.
No, dude, literally Randy Gregory's hand was, if you just ignored the virtual line of scrimmage and looked at where the yard markers were on TV, his whole hand was across the neutral zone. Now the 49ers, when Bosa was in there, I thought early, he was over a little bit. Guys were having a hard time getting set. But it was just hilarious. Like Gregory getting pissed at the refs and then yelling, like, nah, man. And you could hear him mouth some 2 4-letter words that start with B and S. And he's mouthing this to the refs, probably because he's from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And,
right.
and they bullied the bullies. But, but he's mouthing to the refs, man, this is some BS, man. This is BS. It's like, dude, you're lined up over the line of scrimmage.
We have visual evidence every time.
That might be up there now as far as my favorite response from a defensive player. I want to watch for it. There's a guy who consistently lines up over the neutral zone, which a ton of edge rushers do, especially going up against the left tackle. Getting ticked when they get called for offsides. That is up there now with the cornerback who holds and interferes like a mug, that Helen Keller could see it. And then after the play, And then, no, flag, what? Me? Oh, my God.
I think my favorite single moment that fits in that description this year was against the Seahawks when Josh Norman got absolutely burned by DK Metcalf. But Russell Wilson threw it out of bounds. It was a horrible throw. And then Josh Norman, like he got toasted.
Imagine Josh Norman in this game going up against CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper.
Man, thank goodness for the emergence of Ambry Thomas, man.
Yeah, thank goodness for Ambry, dude. And thank God Mosley's back. Imagine freaking Drake Kirkpatrick, a.k.a. 3 Chainz.
Oh, I can't believe there was a game that they started Norman and Kirkpatrick this year.
That's when I started to lose trust in Shanahan, when Ambry Thomas and Diamador Lenore were not your starting 2 cornerbacks. That's when I was a little concerned, to be honest with you. But no, it's just, I'll say this much, you guys watch the game. There's not much to break down like how we used to play by play. That's why we're kind of doing this new style of kind of hitting the important stuff. But just in general, the Cowboys, man, what a mentally weak team.
I know, right?
How dominant they looked all year. At one point having the best record in football, and then being the number 1 seed briefly in the NFC, looking like they finally have a dominant defense to complement Dak.
Yeah.
And like we talked about on that last play of the game, when everything matters, when your instincts take over, like anybody who's played any kind of level of competitive sports, like you and I have, even on a small level, when you get to the end of game situation, instincts take over. You go back to what you know, to that muscle memory. And the fact that the Cowboys' response to that, the fact that the 49ers' response to that was a championship effort is telling. The fact that the Cowboys' response to that was making 2 costly mistakes on the same play that effectively end their season is insane. Let's not even talk about the penalties all day that amounted for over 100 yards, the length of a football field, and offsides, it felt like. The fact that with everything on the line, they made grade school mistakes, running too far on a play. Dak didn't even try to get to the sideline. He had enough time to run that far.
Yeah.
Who knows if he could have bounced it outside. The deal with the trying to spot it yourself and kicking it 2 yards farther. The center and the entire offensive line and Dak too, not getting the ball to the ref, not letting him spot it, and then just leaving the field and blaming it on the refs and not taking responsibility for anything. It's just very telling about that franchise as a whole. And when you look at them, you can go back to the Romo days. Those teams I wouldn't call mentally tough, but they had a lot more fortitude than this one does. Guys like Jason Witten, Tony Romo, Des Bryant, those guys had more fortitude than this Cowboys team right now. Even though this Cowboys team might be better on paper, and Tony's really wasn't a championship level. They weren't super mentally tough. I would trust them over these guys because they folded like a paperback book.
They're excellent on paper. You could argue that they have the top roster in the entire league, but like you say, the mental side of it and of course the coaching side of it, I didn't buy them as a championship team because of that. And I felt the same. By the way, felt the same way about the Cardinals, even when they were 7-0 and 9-2. I never bought it.
Talked about
the Cliff Kingsbury team is not going to win the NFC. It's not going to happen.
You can smell it on some of these teams. Just look at the playoffs. Even if the Buccaneers didn't have Tom Brady, Bruce Arians over Nick Sirianni. Yes,
absolutely.
Kyle Shanahan or Mike McCarthy.
Easy.
We saw that. Sean McVay or Cliff Kingsbury.
Easy.
You can see that. Obviously the Raiders situation, and I'm not, Zach Taylor is Zach Taylor, but you just look at the coaching advantages. Oftentimes those are the teams that win, especially this time of year. It's not the most talent. It's a thing where in this day and age of the NFL, teams are no longer, it feels like, defined by their star quarterback, although that's a lot to do with it. They take on the personality of their coach. You start to see that a lot more lately, like Sean McVay. The Rams are a fairly loose team. They've got a bunch of personality like him. Packers trying to take after LaFleur. 49ers are very business-like, like Kyle Shanahan. And you can see these championship teams kind of forming based on that identity of their coach. And it wouldn't matter if Jerry Jones was coaching the Cowboys this year. They're probably going to have the same result. They were going to have a good regular season record. And when it came down to coaching mattering, when you're going up against a team that's prepared, had a time off to analyze this and prepare for it, it just shows in the biggest games, man.
Absolutely.
And until the Cowboys get a dynamic personality, a dynamic leader, they're going to be in the same situation every year.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to be my Super Bowl pick next year either.
No, you would be an idiot to do it. You'd be an idiot to do it.
Yeah, definitely. So. Well, overall in this game, they jumped to a big lead. The defense held them 7 points in the first half. Then a scary second half, especially with the Jimmy Garoppolo pick. And I think the play that irritated me the most. Yeah, the play that irritated me the most was missing Ayuk when Ayuk just absolutely broke off Trayvon Diggs and Jimmy completely missed him. That was irritating. And now he has a shoulder injury, so that's another thing we can add to the list of.
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about the. Yeah, I don't think we need to worry. I'm sure his interception was only due to his shoulder being popped out of place by the bully of Harrisburg, PA.
Yeah, that's right.
Either that or Randy Gregory. Man. Yeah, either that or Randy Gregory murdered him and we just missed it. But
yeah, for real. All right, man. You want to do some game balls?
Yeah, sure. Real quick before we do.
Yeah, go for it.
Because Jimmy's not going to be on ours. I can promise you that.
No, he's not.
Just obviously 60 for 25, $172. Should have been more than that. I thought he threw 3 questionable ones, including the interception that should have been picked. But just what a 4-hour biopic of Jimmy Garoppolo's career in San Francisco was this game.
We've got it 2 weeks in a row, just in opposite order.
Yeah, comes out. Just it really is, like you said, it doesn't matter how it. I guess this one probably more so because it starts out good and then the way it failed down the stretch, but it's insane. He comes out looking like, I'll admit, I remember thinking in my head specifically after the first drive, man, I'm gonna miss this.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thought actually went through my head. As much as I hate Jimmy Garoppolo for everything he's done to me, as much as I rail him almost as much as Dak Prescott in the city of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Urban Meyer, it felt good to see him winning. It felt good to see it happening. It's like, man, finally momentum from last week. And then nearly single-handedly loses the game by the way he missed receivers. You mentioned Ayuk, the way he throws questionable passes. I don't know what you thought about Jimmy's performance. That's the one thing I want to talk about before we move into game balls.
Overall, I would say it wasn't good. I think this is one of those games where you glance at the numbers and you're like, man, those don't look good. And it was fitting. Like, this isn't one of those games where, yeah, but he was actually better than the numbers showed.
He was worse than the numbers.
Yeah, maybe even worse. I mean, the numbers weren't good. So I thought he did start out strong, especially on the opening drive. But, I've had similar thoughts the last couple of weeks. I think I had him more so during the Rams game where he finished strong, that started strong, where it's like, man, I will miss this guy. But at the same time, in both of these games, your heart rate is out of control because largely due to this guy. It's just rooting for a Jimmy Garoppolo-led team is. I've used this word 100 times in the last probably 4 weeks, but it's just a roller coaster.
It is, man.
It's a roller coaster that ultimately I have had really great memories attached to it, and I will miss it, but I will also be excited to start Trey Lance era. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I will too, man. He reminds me, and I'm not going to mention his name, but a good friend of ours, one who coined the phrase "Bing Bing," kind of reminds me of Jimmy back in our days playing basketball and things, where you never knew what you're going to get out of him. It was either going to be perfection or
Yes.
just utter disaster.
Yes.
And
So
I've always
true.
thought that with Jimmy. It literally, not to put Bing on blast, he's an outstanding baller now. But thinking about Jimmy, how in a range of 4 hours, a little less than 4 hours, we both went from thinking, man, I'm gonna miss this guy, to immediately in the fourth quarter when he misses IU, the one thought that went through my head, we're not getting a first round pick out of this guy.
I don't know if that's true, honestly.
No, I don't know if it's true, but I'm saying the fact
but
that
I
those
understand.
thoughts, the fact that those thoughts were in the same game is, man, I'm gonna miss this guy, and I don't know if we're even gonna get a first round pick. Like, there goes that dream.
Yeah, for real.
Just a couple hours apart. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I understand it. It's just all over the place, and that's the issue. As I've said in the past, I think he's a 10 out of 10 teammate. He's easy to root for. He's really handsome, but on the field, he will make you feel all the joy in the world and then rip your heart out within a 5-minute span.
Yep. And one last
unreal.
thing quick, because I know we need to move on to game balls. It's funny. Jimmy 16 for 25, buck 72 and a pick. Dak 23 for 43, 254 touchdown and pick. Who do you think? I'll give you two QBRs, 68.5 and 27. Who do you think? Which one belongs to which? Out of a possible 100, one had 68 and a half, the other had 27 even.
Well, watching
Dak
the
threw
game,
for 250 and touchdown.
I feel like you're asking this because Garoppolo must be the lower one.
Well, just answer the question. Which one do you think?
Honestly, if I didn't, I would have guessed that Dak was the lower one, honestly. But
yeah, no, he had. I was shocked to see he had 27.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, you're
Dak
right.
was okay. Yeah.
Dak's QBR out of a possible 100 was 27.
I didn't think he played well at all, really.
Well, and then this is telling too. Jimmy was not sacked once. I don't have the pressures up, but he didn't get sacked. Dak was sacked 5 times for a loss of 40 yards. According to ESPN stats, Jimmy was not sacked. Now, he could have been pressured. He was definitely hit after he threw it. But they kept him clean. And Dak got sacked 5 times. So maybe that went into some of it, but just thought that was interesting. Yeah. Knowing Dak had a bad game, the fact his QBR was 27, that's not what you're looking for out of your franchise quarterback with everything on the line.
I don't think I would have guessed it to be that low. So, man, that is – wow. Yeah. That's ugly.
Shut up now.
No, that's good. No, we needed to cover that. I just – it's hard to talk about, All right, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go, I guess.
Okay. First game ball.
I know I've been wrestling because you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Travis Benjamin making a catch on the first play of the drive. It was his only reception of the day, but he had one reception for 17 yards. And it was just nice to see an old soul who I've railed on many times this year for being a horrible kick returner, for losing his job to Trent Cannon, who nearly died on the field, and the fact that he couldn't beat out JaMychal Hasty says something about Travis Benjamin, a return specialist. But he did make an appearance in a playoff game, which, if I recall, is his first playoff game in career history.
Huh. Man, I didn't know that.
He's played for the Chargers, the Browns, now the 49ers.
I forgot about the Browns. Wow.
So nice to see old Travis Benjamin, who's a brisk 32 years old.
Debating. So I wrote down I knew we were going to do 3 each. So I came up with 6 names. So for sure I'd have at least 3 just in case you took 3 of my guys, Nice. Well, I hate to, you picked a good one, but I'll go with the obvious one and go Deebo Samuel. He had 3 catches for 38 yards, but he had 10 rushes for 72 yards, including the 1 touchdown where apparently beforehand he looked to Kyle and said, just give him the ball and I'll take care of the rest. I don't know what he actually said, but it was along those lines. And he did. he took off, and that was a statement touchdown. Deebo Samuel, again, being the best wide back in the league.
He's a very unique player.
Absolutely.
I don't think we'll see one like him for – no, he is one of one. I'd be honest with you, I didn't think he had this in him.
Me neither.
I never looked at Deebo and thought, man, you know what? He'd be a really good running back. Man, he'd be a really good Swiss Army knife. I always thought he was just a solid number 1B receiver. You know, potentially Ayuk was a better receiver was my thought.
Yeah.
But that he's a solid contributor and a solid wide receiver on pretty much most teams, but you don't see it out of him. He doesn't run a blazing fast 40-yard dash or do anything super impressive. He's just a football player, man.
Yeah, no, he is. And I love the way that's described. He's just a football player.
Yeah,
he is. He's just really talented. And it wouldn't shock me to see if teams started to search for the next Deebo in the draft, but I don't think it's going to be easy to find.
No, he's a bigger Percy Harvin, and those don't grow on trees.
No.
He's honestly what Curtis Samuel should have been. It just didn't work out, but it's very interesting. Even in college, he wasn't using this role. But he's that kind of throwback mid-2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, kind of that 10-year span when teams had a Swiss Army like guy like a Percy Harvin and things. And they were just always small guys. Like Tavon Austin was a guy who didn't pan out. And that kind of started the trend of it going away from it. But you're seeing this year, you know, Cordero Patterson, Deebo and others. It's nice to see these kind of wide receiver running back types just put the ball in their hands and let them go to work, you know?
Absolutely.
Team ball number 2, Brandon Ayuk.
Nice.
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania product. 5 receptions for 66 yards. Could have had nearly 100 in touchdown if Jimmy had hit him. But just an outstanding game from him in a game where it was been made so much all year about how great Trayvon Diggs is, how great this Dallas defense is. And if Brandon had a confident quarterback, he would have shredded them all day long.
Yeah, he was getting open against Diggs constantly.
He was targeted 6 times, caught 5 of them. The one he didn't catch was the one Jimmy had a bad pass on.
Yeah.
Just to see him get that done when really the way they've used Deebo so much, Deebo draws the attention of really the linebackers more so than the secondary, the way they kind of put him in motion so much. So for him to kind of be the primary focus of that back end of the defense with Diggs and others, and for him to go off like that, I thought that was an outstanding performance.
Definitely so. That's a good one. There are 3 guys that I want to mention, so I'm hoping that you take one of them, so one of them can be mentioned. So I'm going to gamble here and do the 2 that I think you won't mention.
Sure.
See how it goes. My second one goes to Charles Mayhew.
Nice.
Oh, Charlie, you know.
Oh, Charlie.
Because when Nick Bosa got hurt, I was very nervous. And Mayhew came in and actually had 1.5 sacks and was a force where Nick Bosa usually is. He played extremely well, and I was just really impressed. And I like this guy. I really do. In a 6th rounder for him, not half bad.
Yeah. No, he's an outstanding guy, and especially we talked about having another edge guy opposite Bosa going into next year. Maybe even if you didn't find him in old Charlie, the fact that you have a utility like that certainly makes it more expendable. That was a big need going into this offseason. Having him here for the next few years at least gives you an option of a third kind of rotating edge guy, or potentially even someone who can start.
I like him and Arden Key a lot as rotational pass rushers, man. They're both keepers, I think.
Oh, 100%. 100%. This is tough. And I'm gonna go Kevin Givens. Just because of the simple fact of everything this interior defensive line has gone up against, with Javon Kinlaw, Jones going out,
it
not really being addressed this past offseason. And for a guy like that to step up, I believe he had my computer keeps messing up, so I apologize. I don't have the stats on here anymore, but I believe he had half a sack too, and like 4 tackles. And for you to get kind of pressure like that, man, that's awesome from an interior defensive line, and basically kind of a 3-man front. With how the 49ers generally line up like that, dude, that is awesome. I just thought he played a really good game. And when you don't notice kind of that anchor position, that kind of stalwart in the middle, if you don't notice them, then you're not missing much. It's the same thing as an offensive line. You only notice them when they're not playing good. You notice the edge guys because they're making the plays. But when you're getting pressure like that, you're doing your job. And the fact we didn't look at that position like we've looked at before when Kinlaw was getting worked on the ground and all these things, and the times that he's actually played over the last couple of years, the fact you didn't notice him really kind of spoke to the kind of game he had. Thought he was doing his assignment awesome. Made Dak uncomfortable. The whole defensive line did, obviously. But I thought he played really good from an interior position. That's tough to play against a good Cowboys defense.
Yeah, true.
I mean, good Cowboys offensive line forward.
For some reason, that didn't even process to me as incorrect.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
My last one. It's hard to decide between 2, but I'm going to go D'Amico Ryans. Dealing with the Nick Bosa injury, a Fred Warner injury, and yeah, I give credit to the guys who stepped in, but I also give credit to D'Amico Ryans has done an excellent job this season, and I'm not shocked at all that he's getting some head coaching interviews. I sure hope that nobody hires him this time around.
Yeah.
It would stink to lose Saleh and then D'Amico Ryans at back-to-back seasons, but if he does get hired, he deserves it.
He does, and he has been excellent, man. It's kind of nice the way the 49ers have it set up, and I go back and forth on if you want an offensive or defensive coach and then kind of turn over the reins to that, or you want a CEO who's more, open to change. There's basically 2 types of head coaches in all football. There's a CEO type who delegates duties to the OC and DC and just makes substitutional, situational, end of game decisions, timeouts, challenges, etc.
Yeah.
And then there's the guy like Shanahan who knows what he wants to run and is going to be a dictator over it. Yeah. And people don't realize it's Shanahan's defense too, because especially when you're an offensive coach, you're not going to run Shanahan's offense. Or a better example would be you're not going to run a Cliff Kingsbury up-tempo air raid offense and then run a blitz-heavy, super risky defense. Because if you get shredded, you're just killing your defense. They're having to get on the field with their gaps and worn out. But the defenses are – and the 49er defense and offense are married so well together because this is what Shanahan wants to do on offense. It's what he wants to do on defense. So, like you said, as awesome as D'Amico Ryans has been, I would hate to lose him, but the system is in place for it to be continued down the road. It's what Shanahan wants to do. The playbook's not going to change.
True. I do like that him and Saleh, I think, are leaders of men. So I that is something that's not easy to replace, but that's definitely true. Yeah. But the other guy I was considering was that guy behind you, actually.
I know. I thought about him too. I didn't want to go back to back. Dude, Avery had a heck of a game.
I'll just do it real quick. 55 snaps in coverage, 2 catches allowed for 24 yards, and a pass breakup against a really, really good receiving core. So just going to throw that out there. Yeah. Shout out Ambry Thomas. Honorable mention, game ball.
No, for sure. Yeah, and he would be mine as well. I just didn't want to be a homer, and I skipped on Nebo, I skipped on Elijah Mitchell, and I skipped on Ambry because those are always my 3 as of the last couple of weeks. Remind me, not obviously who was picked ahead of him. That's several rounds, but aside from Surtain, Horn, and Farley, and I guess was it Greg Newsome?
Greg Newsome.
Is that who I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Who was the next cornerback? I was trying to think who the 5th one was.
The Georgia guy that's just a speed guy that went to Green Bay.
Sure. Eric Stokes.
Yep. Thank you. I think he was the next picked, I believe.
Yeah, and then there was another guy from Georgia I liked. actually over Stokes. I forget.
Tyson Campbell, who's Jags.
Tyson Campbell.
He's better than Stokes, I think.
Yeah, he is. But so the reason I bring that up, talking about Ambry, when he was a junior at Michigan before his colitis and all these things happened, it was talk that he was going to be a potential early second round pick, late first round pick, kind of up there with those 5 guys. Like that, it was Surtain, Horn, Farley, probably a little gap, Newsome, and then a gap, and then him. And you're seeing that finally come to fruition, where he's a top flight cornerback. It just took him. I think it was Croc was talking about it a couple months ago. A guy not confident and not comfortable the way he wasn't looking back for the ball.
Yeah.
Not confident in his speed and ability. And now you're seeing that confidence because he hasn't had any issues the last couple of weeks. He's a stud. And to go up against CD Lamb and Amari and even Michael Gallup all game. Or not Gallup.
Gallup was hurt, yeah. I forget their third receiver's name now.
Yeah. But still to go up against guys like that, that's still a dynamic Cowboy offense. He played really good.
Absolutely, he did. All right, man, the time has come for us. We have 4 playoff games this weekend. Winners go to each conference championship, of course. We'll go through these, and we'll finish with, of course, Packers and Niners, because we'll break that one down a little bit more. Let's start with Buccaneers Rams. Who do you got?
With Buccaneers Rams.
Yes.
The game is being played in Tampa, correct?
That is correct.
If I understand this bracket to be correct, I couldn't see the seeds. The Rams or the Bucks were higher, which was a stupid thing, I guess. But they got it reversed for the top team's the home team. It threw me for a loop. It depends on which Rams team shows up. I do think the veteran presence is going to help them a little bit. Guys like Von Miller, having them around, guys who know how to win. Of course, Odell too. I guess it's a give and take. I'll still go Bucks just because it's Brady at home in Florida. I'll go Bucks 27, Rams 23.
Nice. I like it. I also have the Buccaneers here. Although it really scares me that Tristan Wirfs might not play in this game, I imagine he will tough it out and play. I mean, it's a playoff game, but that's still scary. He's excellent. But I'm going to bet on, like you said, Tom Brady more than anything, even though the Rams are scary.
Yeah.
And I will go 30-24 Buccaneers.
The one thing to keep your eye on in this game is how much pressure they're getting on Brady.
Exactly.
Not because Brady can't handle the pressure, but just because you saw Eagles late in the game take some shots at Brady. You don't want him to get banged up, especially if Wirfs might potentially be out. Going up against Von Miller, going up against Aaron Donald could be a tough look.
Yeah, definitely so. That's the key to, if there's a way to beat Tom Brady, that's it. Pressure him like crazy, man. He'll speed up the game if he's pressured, but that's still.
I always love when people say that. That's the stupidest thing because that's like with any quarterback. It's not. But
Tom Brady's better than normal at it, though.
Yeah, but no, that's what I'm saying. That's the secret to being any quarterback is pressure.
I thought you meant he'll speed the game. No, I'm like,
not you. No, it's like the. It's like he's a game manager. Yeah. He's coaching for his job. Yeah. Every game he coaches, he's coaching for his job. Every game he's in, he's managing it because it's his job. True. The key to beat Aaron Rodgers, you got to pressure.
Outscore.
Okay? the key to beating Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, and Lamar Jackson is pressuring them. They're 3 completely different quarterbacks. So I just hate that saying, but you're right. Yeah. Brady's worst years are when he didn't have an offensive line around him. So
but that's everybody.
With Wirfs being out, maybe that changes. That's everybody. It's one of the most overused sayings in all sports. But keep the pocket clean for Brady.
Yes,
they'll be okay.
Yeah, definitely. That's the key to victory for them. All right, let's go to Titans Bengals. I'm curious where you're going to go on this one.
If this game gets over 24 points, the Bengals are going to win. If Titans keep it under 24-28, they're going to walk out with the win. I don't think they have the firepower. In fact, I know they don't. Ryan Tannehill's not a shootout kind of guy. Especially, is Henry still out for Sunday?
I think he's supposed to play.
I know he was. Okay. Yeah, I got an alert on it earlier. I know I think it was questionable or doubtful.
Yeah.
So it really depends on, I guess, what workload you can give him. And then just keeping the ball out of Burrow's hands, man. There's no way the Titans want this to be a shootout. They're both teams that are used to playing in the cold. People forget Nashville in this time of year, still cold weather city with that elevation, maybe not as cold as Cincy.
Yeah.
But they're used to it. This isn't a
Yeah.
disadvantage for them, like people will be talking about, or I guess vice versa. The Bengals playing in Tennessee, it's still cold weather. It's not just going to be some kind of culture shock to them. So again, just keeping it from being a shootout. Titans will win. I've got Tennessee winning 27-21. Just think they're going to hold on to the ball enough. It's Burrow's first big playoff game. I know he's a winner. I know he's a gamer. But when you're going on the road against the best team in the AFC, one of the best teams in football overall all year, it takes a different level, man. So
yeah,
27-21 Titans.
I also have the Titans, but I'll say I don't feel confident about it.
Yeah.
I think this will be a really close game. I have it at 23-20, and the more I think about it, holding them to 20 points. I don't know if that's going to happen. But
yeah,
I made this bracket and I want to stick to it, but it would not shock me at all to see Cincinnati win this one. But I have the Titans winning.
And I'll add this: watching that Raiders game, man, it really feels like Joe Burrow can beat anybody in football.
Yeah, right.
I hated Zach Taylor a good portion of the year.
Me too.
Wasn't really a fan of some of the things they did, but man, that Jamar Chase pick looks really smart right now.
Yeah,
Burrow doesn't need protection when he can get the ball out real quick like that. To one of the best wide receivers already in football.
Right.
It just does feel like you said, I'm not super confident in the Titans pick. I do trust Mike Vrabel probably a little bit more than Taylor.
I would vote Mike Vrabel Coach of the Year if it were me.
Yeah, no, I definitely would for sure. Either him or LaFleur with all the noise that was going on in Green Bay for him to do that, no doubt. But yeah, just kind of before we move on to the last game before our pick, if there's one coach who I feel like is going to outcoach the other and exert his will and his game plan, it's going to be Vrabel over Taylor. Taylor wants this to be a shootout. He wants it to be a track meet. And Vrabel's going to want to slow it down, lean on Henry, play smart football, keep the ball out of Burrow's hands, frustrate him a little.
Take the top off with A.J. Brown or Julio.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. It's going to be an old-timey 25, 30 carry game.
Yeah.
And a lot of play action.
Exactly.
But again, just comes down to which coach gets away with what they want to do.
Yeah. I totally agree. I'm basically betting on Vrabel and Henry. Being able to edge out Zach Taylor, young Joe Burrow. But man, Joe Burrow's a stud. He's going to be back here for sure.
Oh, for sure, man.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Man, this is a juggernaut of a matchup to me. Chiefs Bills. I'll go first on this one if you don't mind.
Go for it.
This to me, in my opinion, are the two best teams in the AFC. The Chiefs have really turned it around the second half of the year, and I think they're back to being the Chiefs of old. But man, those Bills look good against the Patriots. The first perfect offensive game in NFL history. Touchdown every single drive until they kneeled with Mitch Trubisky, funny enough. I have the Chiefs here, and I will go 34-31. I'll pick the Chiefs 34-31. But let me throw out this little scenario real quick that I think could be really interesting. The Bills built their team to do one thing: beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We know that.
Yeah.
The whole offseason, they were obsessed about beating the Kansas City Chiefs. I have this funny scenario in my head where the Bills beat the Chiefs. They're so high on it that they lay an egg against Tennessee or Cincinnati, and we end up seeing the Titans or the Bengals in the Super Bowl, which would just be so shocking.
That's where I'm at right now.
Really?
Yeah. So
wow.
if we think back to the start of this year, I did diss on the Eagles a good bit. I can't remember if we had the Cardinals making the playoffs. I think we might have had the Cardinals, Rams, and Niners in. I know we didn't have the Seahawks. Okay, then I didn't either. But we did. I just remember us talking about it before, thinking they were going to be better, but not championship level, and they're not. Thing with the Bills, I laid it out in our preview episode when we had Luke on, and I actually had it in this exact scenario when we did our full playoff bracket. I said specifically, not to my own horn, but to that the Bills were not going to lose the division to the Patriots. That the Mac Jones is not good enough. The Patriots were not good enough to beat the Bills. Also said, I had the Bills and the Chiefs here meeting up in the second round of the playoffs, meeting
the Titans as the 1 seed.
The Titans and the Chiefs. So here we are.
You did say that.
And do I go away from my original theory, or do I follow my heart? And I think my heart says Josh Allen, man.
Really?
This just feels like his time. And I'll go with your little scenario here in just a second, not expound on it too much. But I've got Bills winning 38-34, ironically enough. Singletary looks really complete. Never thought I'd say that out of him. Right? I thought Zach Moss was a better back for a long time.
Me too.
That's certainly not the case. They've got the advantage in the run game. They've got the advantage at skill positions, probably everywhere on offense except tight end, and quarterback's probably pretty close to a wash at this point. Coaching,
they're
Andy
excellent.
Reid still, the entire Bills staff, top to bottom, is excellent.
Yes.
I like the Bills defense probably a little bit more.
Oh,
Although Chris Jones is really good. Honey Badger's Honey Badger. But I do like the Bills secondary to stop Mahomes a good bit more. So for that reason, 38-34. But no, I'm with you. This feels like a classic looking back on the Bills teams of the late 80s, early 90s with Jim Kelly. They call it the 4 falls of Buffalo, where they got to the Super Bowl 4 times and 4 years in a row and lost. I don't know if they get to the Super Bowl this year, but it really does feel like kind of, here's your Michigan reference, the weeks, and they didn't make one last couple of weeks. It feels like when we played Georgia, you got to the pinnacle, you beat your rival, you beat your team you're playing for, and it's like, all right, well, that's that.
Yeah.
We're here now.
It's their Ohio State. Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's hard to get back up. It's hard to get yourself back up for that when you've been wanting something for so long. You finally get over the hump, and it's their Ohio State.
It's like their Super Bowl. Yeah.
It's their Super Bowl. It's their Alabama and Auburn. It's their USC and Notre Dame. It's the team you obsess over all year long, and it does feel like they'll get them this year. I feel like, but I don't think they got the legs. They're still a young team. They still are learning how to win. And it just feels like they're going to lay an egg to Joe Burrow or Mike Vrabel for that matter.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't shock me at all. Like I said, I have the Chiefs here and I'll stick with it, but it's another one I would not be shocked at all if it ended up being Buffalo and Tennessee or Buffalo and Cincinnati. So
100%.
Yep. And the last one, the best for last, the 49ers and the Packers. It's like 2019 vibe, real similar.
All over again.
What do you think about this game? Advantages, disadvantages? Just overall main points.
Yeah, I'm not going to expound too much. I'll hit the quick hitters, but advantage quarterback position for the Packers.
Yeah.
I'll take our offensive line. Skill positions are probably close to a wash, although I'll take Kittle again at tight end over their stable. Over what's his face, Tanyan. Yeah. I'll take our defense. And then coaching, as much as I hate to compare Shanahan to his apprentice side, LaFleur is not a bad coach. I like him more than Zach Taylor, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
From kind of a similar tree. And man, coaching, like I said, I hate to say it, but it's probably pretty close to wash. I'd never bet against Aaron Rodgers in a situation like this, especially depending on Bosa, how quickly can he get back from a concussion? How bad is Warner's injury? I know he's saying he's going to go. There's legitimate concerns in this game. But again, feels like advantage offensive line, 49ers, advantage quarterback, Packers, coaching's a wash. 49ers probably got the edge in skill position. So if you went from it top to bottom, it's probably an even-ish game.
Yeah.
Based on those factors. It really depends on the health of those guys. And that's what would worry me more than anything.
The injury reports of Warner, Bosa, and Garoppolo are scary too, I will say.
It's funny enough.
And we know
I'm not even
Garoppolo's
much concerned about he's going to get injured this game too. I guarantee
that's true. An ankle or a toe.
Yeah, his mind. I'm more concerned about Warner and Bosa. I'm not even as much worried. It's funny enough. I wouldn't care if Trey Lance got into this game. I know that sounds stupid, like a couch quarterback, but it doesn't worry me. It's a strong-armed quarterback who's mobile and tough. He can play in cold weather. It's not like busting out some kind of little fragile guy. It's not bringing Mac Jones to the dinner table.
I don't think North Dakota is known for their perfectly warm weather.
Well, and he's born in Minnesota.
Yeah,
so
he's a Minnesota
he's used to this stuff.
Absolutely,
he's used to this stuff, man. In fact, I actually grew up a Packers fan, I believe, briefly. There was some picture of him wearing a Packers jersey going around.
We got another Kaepernick, man.
I know, dude. Freaking Kaepernick. At least he's not from Harrisburg. But no, it's I hate to sound like a homer, but it feels like a wash. And I always go with quarterback. So if there was a one strong advantage, it's quarterback. And that's what worries me more than anything is if Bosa and Warner really are going to be – if Bosa can't go, if he's not practicing by tomorrow, it's tough. Warner's your guy. You can't not have him. I think that would potentially be more of an impact even than Bosa. Just because of him keeping everybody calm and in position. Bosa, his impact is unquestioned. Mm-hmm. But when you're going up against a mastermind like Aaron Rodgers, who is a master manipulator on the football field, you have to have someone there quarterbacking your defense. You got to have everybody lined up. Got to have the right play call in. You got to make the right change at the line. And it would worry me if Azeez Al-Shaair and Drake Greenlaw are the guys doing that. Instead of Fred Warner, right?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Those guys have done well when Warner's been out, but still, there's a reason the middle linebacker is considered the quarterback of the defense, and Fred Warner's as good as you can get at it. So his value is sky high too. Obviously, I want both of them to be healthy. This is a matchup similar to Dallas, where I feel like styles of play might favor the 49ers. They can run the ball, control the pace. Ideally, they would be able to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field to some extent. And then their defense has been playing really, really well. D'Amico Ryans is hot calling plays right now. And I think the Packers might prefer every NFC team over the 49ers as an opponent.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I have a weird feeling about this Packers team this season. I have a feeling that this is their year. I don't know. I put on our website that they were actually my pick. And here, I'll just show this real quick. This is what I was trying to show you earlier. Wait, can you see it? Okay, yeah. This is my official bracket that I made. And I have the Packers winning the Super Bowl this year. I feel like Aaron Rodgers, after all the drama that he caused, I feel like he's putting it all together, and the hippie stuff that he did in the woods is allowing him to play even more freely. And he's just hot right now. I don't know. I feel like this Packers team is a little bit special. I don't know why. So.
No, sure. It does have a kind of revenge tour vibe.
Yeah, it does.
It's funny. People are like, well, maybe Aaron Rodgers will come back next year. I think that bridge is burnt. I think he's gone regardless. Wanting to do his own thing. It does kind of feel like his last ride in Green Bay, especially with Devontae Adams too. So
Yeah.
It just really feels like, man, this is our last go around, and we're going to make it count.
Yeah.
To
Right.
me, they're probably not far off from being the most complete team in football either. Top to bottom, they might not have the best roster, but they don't have really any holes. They're just sound at a ton of positions. For that reason, I'm ready to do score picks when you're ready, but
yeah,
I do think it feels like their year for sure.
I'll say just before score, week 8 when they went into Arizona and beat Arizona while missing like everyone, that is what Devontae Adams and Lazard, and still beat the hottest team in the league at the time. I was like, yeah, this team is for real, and they're getting Bakhtiari and Jair Alexander back now.
Yeah,
they got the Bakhtiari last week, so 2 weeks ago, whatever.
Yeah,
they're really good.
No, they are, and it's, to me, it's either going to be a blowout, Packers win, or it's going to be this similar deal as we saw at the start of the year there, and was it week 3 or 4? Dates run together now. When they came out to Santa Clara, California, and played us.
37
it
seconds.
It feels like similar vibes, like it could be a close game. And again, when it's in that situation, it's hard to not go with the better quarterback.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's why I have them winning a really similar score to last go around, 31-27.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be the epitome of Jimmy Garoppolo's career. This game, he's going to have injury question marks that the media will talk about. He's going to say he had an injury again in his press conference, and it just feels like this game, whether he starts bad or finishes bad, it's going to be the epitome of the Garoppolo era. And I think this is where it comes to its end. It feels like just when you're going up against Aaron Rodgers, as quickly as he can get his team points on the board, 49ers want to turn this into a grind in and out kind of game, similar to that Cowboys win 23-17. That's what Shanahan wants, is a score like that. Man, I just don't trust Jimmy to get it done. So I'll go Packers 35, 49ers 24. Just again, feels like we're going to look back on this game, and you're going to blame it on the cold. You're going to blame it on Garoppolo, but it's going to be Garoppolo. It's not going to be his thumb. It's not going to be his other stuff. It's going to be going up against an elite quarterback, and we didn't have enough arsenal to get the job done.
Yeah.
By the way, interesting, in Green Bay, it's going to be a high of 14 and a low of 0.
Ooh.
So keep in mind with the wind chill,
so
and they're playing at 7:15. With the wind chill too, that does add about anywhere between, if it's going to be wind, looks like 5 to 10 miles 10 to 20 mile an hour winds. So mildly windy right there off of Lake Michigan. You're going to have a wind chill of probably close to -10, at least -5. So it's going to be cold. It's going to be like that old Packers Niners 2013 playoff game, I think it was.
Kaepernick wore no sleeves.
It's going to have that feel to it for sure. But again, cold weather, Garoppolo's banged up. Garoppolo's going to Garoppolo. So
yeah. Well, here's to being wrong, as they say. So
this is being wrong. And if this is the end, which if we win this week, the next week we'll talk about if it's going to be the end, when we have to lose to Tom Brady or Matt Stafford. What a ride it has been if this is the end. The fact that they got in the playoffs, the way the Rams game went, exercising some demons they've had this season by having a young cornerback take the lead, by Garoppolo exercising some demons as well, guys being healthy, then just maintaining that momentum against the Cowboys, getting a playoff win. What a big deal, man. Kind of going forward, you're playing with house money, in my opinion. I don't think it's a Super Bowl team this year. I love to be proven wrong, but the fact they got into the playoffs, they beat what was considered arguably for the longest period of time one of the best teams in the league this year, beat them on their turf, in the playoffs, an old rival, just makes you feel good. So however it goes out, whenever it ends, at least we're here. At least we got to win.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'll say me picking the 49ers to not win the Super Bowl, it's not even a knock on them. It's more of the knock that the road that they have to face. I'll share my screen one more time. And this is the end of my article. I said there are 4 pictures that show why the 49ers probably won't. And here I said, if the 49ers made the Super Bowl, I believe they'd have to play one of these jokers, right? And just to get there, you probably, at least by my picks, have to play this guy. And to play that guy, you have to play that guy. So the road that the 49ers would have to go down to win a Super Bowl it would be historically great for them to do it. So, hey,
without an
here's the trying. Yeah. Here's the trying. Yeah. But, we're predicting the 49ers season to be over this Saturday. And, of course, we hope that we are wrong. But whatever the case, me and Josh have talked about being excited for off-season podcasting, too. We have a lot of different ideas. So, no matter what, we'll be coming at you guys with hopefully some unique content.
I'll end it with this. This season really uniqued up on me. They really sneaked up on me, man. So,
good Lord.
All
right. Well,
let's already running overtime.
Yeah, as we always do. But let's try to get more on a not awful note with fact of the week.
Sure. Fact of the week. So this was an interesting one.
Okay.
And you know what? I just got a super because we're already being depressing. So we'll end on a double high note here to carry us over through next week. Just number one, the ancient Rome. You're familiar with Rome. When in Rome.
A little bit, yeah. When in Rome. Yeah.
When in Rome. When in Rome. What was the famous Michael Scott quote? Talks about when in Rome, but it wasn't Rome. What city was he talking about? Remember what I'm talking about?
What happened?
It was like no, he didn't say what happens in Rome, but it was like they were talking about Las Vegas or something, and he goes, "When in Rome."
Oh, really?
Yeah, so,
that sounds like Michael.
But anyway, so you're familiar with Rome, the Romans, their history. So the ancient Romans often used stale urine as mouthwash. The reason being, the main ingredient in urine is ammonia, which acts as a powerful cleaning agent. Who knew? Mr. Clean was a Roman. Urine became so in demand that Romans who traded in, this is stupid the way they phrase this. Urine became so in demand that Romans who traded it actually had to pay a tax.
Wow. There were
so it was
taxes?
like it was the original powdered substance. It wasn't ice or blow or speed or anything. It was urine.
That
was a stupid way for them to phrase it like that. But yeah, it's very fascinating. So they're just swishing around. Stale urine has ammonia in it. Has ammonia on it, which is why Michael Scott also says to pee on an injury. Why it's got ammonia. And then this is my favorite one.
Okay.
I just couldn't leave out the Romans one. Very interesting. You're familiar with the Pope. You know the Pope?
Yeah.
You know the Pope. What's the current Pope's name? What's his name? Pope. Yeah. So while in power, Pope Gregory the Ninth declared. So popes can make decrees.
Okay.
Pope Gregory the Ninth declared that cats were to be associated with devil worship and were to be completely exterminated. Now, typically, what do cats hunt? What do they prowl around searching for?
Mice? Is that what you're going
for?
Mice.
Yeah. What's a bigger mouse?
What's another
word for big? Yeah, rats. Are you familiar with the Black Plague, the Black Death? Follow me. Are you familiar with the plague that ravaged the medieval times?
Oh, okay. Yes, with all the rats.
Yes, with all the rats. So keep in mind, the Pope has just declared that cats are associated with devil worship and be exterminated. So some believe that the fact the Pope had all these cats killed helped the rats spread the bubonic plague, aka the Black Death, that ended up killing millions of people. So the Pope, by association, created mass genocide because he didn't like cats.
Sweet Lord.
So
that's a banger right there.
That's a banger, man. That's a banger.
Wow, man.
And fun fact, just to end it with.
Okay.
Pope Gregory the Ninth.
Yeah.
The guy who did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know where he's from?
I do.
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And the 49-yard dash.
Absolutely.
Speaking with you guys next week, and we'll try to stay away from mass murder and urine. But hey, that's a quality content you come here for.
Absolutely. And no promises. We'll see you all next week. 49-yard dash. I'm Steven. That's Josh. Peace out.